Hi there, welcome back to the Instagram Influencer Marketing Strategy course. So, this time around, we are going to do a quick recap on a couple of things of which we've learned until this point. Some of them, which include how you contact influencers and how you find the influencers for your business. All right. So, the first thing we are going to talk about is how you find the influencer for your business. Actually, it's very simple. I'm going to recall everything we've discussed up to this point, how I can recall into finding a niche, finding an influencer which you believe can articulate into your business, which is very important. Finding an influencer with good influence and engagement, finding an influencer from your target demography, which is of course, and then an influencer with good communication skills, which is very important for the success of any business at all. It's very important that you're able to communicate with your influencer if you're going to be able to work with them. All right. So now the most important thing here we are going to be talking about is the niche, good engagement and influence, and then target demography. All right. So now if you want to work with an influencer, let's say you're trying to sell to customers in the US, you want to work with an influencer that has an audience that has an audience mostly resident in the US. All right, you can always work that out. Now, I will have to explain this. Now, when you are reaching out to your influencer, right, you want to ask them a couple of questions. You want to ask them a couple of questions, some of which include um, their their statistics, audience demography, best time to post, and the price of which you are going to ask them, the price for the promo and all of those details. All right. So make sure will keep this in mind when you're asking your influencers what they need to make the promo work. Now let's start with the niche. You and your influencer has to be in the you have to be in the same niche. Just simply put it as your influencer is in the same niche as you are, right? Your influencer is an established person with good reputation and influence in the niche you are already working in. All right. So it's very important that you work with an influencer in your niche because it's going to give you an edge and you're going to be able to target people who are already interested in the product. So in simple sense, your influencer is more like an ideal look of what your customer is supposed to look like. Now, if your influencer is in your niche and is capable of buying your product, um, is capable, or let's say, and is an ideal the representation of what your customer is supposed to look like, then you have high hopes that the followers are going to be similar to this influencer, and then you are going to get better results. All right. So the closer your influencer is to your ID customer, the more results you are going to be able to get from them and their followers. All right. Now the next thing is good engagement and influence. As I said, as I've mentioned time and time again, good engagement and influence beats numbers of followers every single time. It's called influencer marketing for a reason. It means the amount of influence the influencer has on their followers will determine whether or not you are going to be making sales from your influencer marketing campaign. All right. So the next thing, as I mentioned, is target demography. Now, this is just a recap, of course, so I'm going to brush through as fast as I can so I'll get to what we are discussing today. Now, target demography simply talks about the location of your customers, right? Now, if I'm trying to target customers in the US, I'm not going to use an influencer who has most of his followers resident in India, and then I'd end up advertising to people in India. It's possible that once I advertise, even if I get sales from India, I might not be able to ship to this region depending on the type of product you have. All right. Now, depending on the type of product you have, you should also keep this in mind. The location of your customers, of your ID customers, you should keep that in mind when you are reaching out to your influencer. So simply ask your influencer um, to send you a screenshot of their audience demography. They will understand this. Most influencers have adapted the use of Instagram business accounts. You might see it as personal blogs or whatever it is they use because it gives them more flexibility over their account to see the engagement and the activities of their followers. All right. So most influencers have built this in their have this in their on their this feature on their account, so they'll be able to provide you with that much information. All right. So a couple of other questions you should ask your influencer include the prices of the promo, what do they think is the best time to post the promo, and a couple of other things like that. Now, your influencer should also have good communication skills, because there are likelihood that if you are working with an influencer who is not able to respond to your messages and all of that as often as possible, is going to be a hitch to your business, all right? And then it's going to be difficult to work with someone who you can't get in touch with. So always keep that in mind whenever you're looking out to work with an influencer. It's absolutely important. Now, the next thing we are going to do a recap on is how to contact your influencer. Of course, from the last video we spoke about, contacting your influencer was I simply described it as reaching out to your influencer, trying to get a good first impression so that you'll be able to build the necessary environment for the necessary interaction you are going to do with your influencer to be able to seal the deal. All right. Now, I mentioned that getting uh, a very good first impression is going to determine whether or not you are going to be working with the influencer. Now, everything we discussed in the previous video can be summed up into a couple of points which I'm going to list out now. Everything we discussed in the previous video can be listed out into a sum of into salutation. All right, so salutation simply means greeting the influencer, of course. Then the next thing is compliments. All right, salutation, compliments, benefits. That's what the influencer is going to benefit from the collaboration. Okay, so benefits, product or service benefits. All right. Now, this is the benefit of the product you are trying to get the influencer to convince their followers to buy from you. And then the last one is feedback. All right, you want them to know whether or not they are interested in the collaboration, and if they are interested, they should get back to you. Now, I gave in the previous video, I made it clear. I gave an example of how to reach out to the influencer following each of these 5 rules in the first interaction. That's the message you are going to be sending to your influencer. Now, this doesn't stop here. You go ahead and ask other questions like the price for the promo, depending on which method you are going to be working with the influencer, whether it's a paper post, an affiliate deal, or a free product reel. All right, so you are going to ask questions. So the price of the product, audience demography, a couple of other questions like that. All right. So you want to negotiate with the influencer, but before then, I usually um I usually prefer if you could ask for the stats. All right. Now that this is what I call stats requests. Stats requests. All right. You will see as we go on, you will see a good representation in the videos. All right. You go for the stats request. You negotiate the price, because now that you know their statistics, you know which price is worth it for you or not. All right, which price is whether the price is worth it for you or not. Now, the prices of which you are going to be paying influencers are actually dependent on the influencers and your experience with influencer marketing. Now, this means that the influencers probably might have had previous experiences on how much they pay on an average for certain types of promos. So, and on your own end, you should be able to determine whether or not this will be worth paying for, depending on what you are looking out for. Always make sure that when you are going in for a promo, you always look out for whether or not you are going to be in whether you are, or not you are going to be in profit or not at the end of the day. All right. So another thing you should discuss with your influencer is payment method. Now, depending on the influencer you're working with, it's going to be different, because different influencers use different payment method, and depending of which country they are resident in. There are different payment methods that are very convenient to use. You can use PayPal, Payoneer, direct bank transfer if possible. There are a lot of other platforms you can use. All right, some of a few might even ask you for payment in crypto, if that's possible. But I recommend you use any of these previous payment method I listed. I mentioned. All right. Now, depending on whatever you find more convenient between you and your influencer, you can be able to figure out something convenient for both of you. Now, it's very important that you ask all of these questions and make sure you are able to lead the interaction in a way that is going to end up with you and your influencer closing the deal, and then you are able to collaborate on a promo. All right. Now, so that's basically all of it when it comes down to communication. How the conversation goes between you and your influencer strongly depends on how you are able to carry the conversation. All right. So the next thing we are going to be talking about is different strategies of which you are able to use to find the influencer of your choice. Now, usually this method, it's I'm going to be showing a more practical representation on how you are going to be able to do this. But usually, this method requires more of what I'd suggest, um, more of you going in and doing it. All right. So the first method we are going to be talking about is the suggestion method. Now, remember, we are talking about how you are going to be able to find these influencers on Instagram. You know that these influencers are on Instagram, but the next thing you want to do is how you are going to be able to find them out there. All right. Now, the first method you are going to be able to use. Now, let's assume you have found one influencer you are interested in, like I have right now. So we've been using the fitness niche as an example, and I found this micro influencer, and I think, okay, this micro influencer is actually interesting, and I want to find other influencers like this guy. All right. So the first method I can use is the suggestion method. Now, Instagram has made this very simple. Once you go on Instagram, you click on the profile. Of course, it's available on both the mobile device and your desktop device. Usually, I would recommend you do some of these things on your mobile device because it's a lot faster and it's a lot more convenient for you to do all of this. But if you found an influencer that you're interested in and you want to find similar influencers like this guy, you simply come to the suggestion button and you click on it. All right. Now, what Instagram does is it reveals to you a couple of influencers that post similar content to this influencer. Now, as you can see, this all of the suggested pages here are all in the fitness niche. All right, they are all in the fitness niche. What Instagram does is collect a number of people that post similar content and suggest them to you, whether you be interested in their content or not. You can just go ahead and follow them. So that's simply what Instagram does, showing you people that are already doing this particular thing that this person that you're interested in is doing. So what Instagram wants you to do is simply follow those people and all of that. But you can use it to your advantage and find influencers of which you are interested in and check out their check out their page, check out their engagement, check out everything. And once you are done, if you are interested in working with this influencer, you can send them a DM. All right, you can send them a DM, but you always make sure you check out their engagement and what the likelihood of the amount of influence they will have on their followers. All right, so you check out all of these details before you send them a DM. All right. So let's say we've already checked out this influencer and this influencer fits into what we are going to look for, what we are looking for. We can simply use the suggestion button to check out if we can see similar influencers to this particular one we are interested in. Now, so that's all about the suggestion method. It's actually very simple. Instagram will give you tons and tons of people you are interested in. You can click see all to see all of them at once. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to scroll through using the button here, and we can see a couple of influencers that we are interested in. All right. Now, the other method I like to use is the hashtag method. Now, the hashtag method is very simple. I just go ahead to the search button and then I click on fitness. All right, I simply go ahead and search for fitness in the search button, and Instagram will quickly pull out tons of people that have used the hashtag fitness. Now, the secret to this method is actually very simple. There's nothing complicated about it. There's no rocket science. people usually use hashtags to get better exposure on Instagram. All right. Now, if I'm posting a fitness content, of which I do every now and then, I usually use the fitness hashtags to get my content out there so that anybody that is interested in fitness, Instagram can easily realize, okay, I'm trying to post the content for people interested in fitness, and it recommends my post to some of these people. All right. So hashtags are very effective for influencers a lot, because if you want to use it, get more exposure on Instagram, it's a very helpful thing to use hashtags. It gives you more exposure to people interested in the particular hashtags you have used and all of that. So by searching hashtags in your niche related to what you have in mind, what you are going to be advertising, and the type of influencer you are looking for, you'll be able to find influencers with this. Okay, so you simply click on your hashtag, and Instagram will recommend for you tons and tons of fitness, of people who are posting content related to fitness and have used the fitness hashtags. All right, so yes, a lot of hashtags you can use. If I'm looking for, if in this case, since I'm dealing with fitness and fitness as a whole, I can go ahead and search gym. I can go ahead and search gym freaks. I can go ahead and search Gymshark, fitness, Fitco, a lot of workouts, gym goals, a lot of hashtags that you can find. Now, if you want to find hashtags on Instagram very quickly, you can simply go and search hashtag generator on Instagram, on Google, hashtag generator. So depending on what you put in there, it's going to give you hashtags related to that and what people commonly use. So you can use that to come up with hashtags to use to search out for influencers. Now, the next method we are going to talk about is the um all right, before we go ahead and talk about that method, as you can see, the hashtag simply brings out tons of people that post using the fitness hashtags. Usually, I go for the post with better engagement. All right, I go for the post with a couple of thousand likes, because, or let's say 500 and above. Usually, because they tend to have built more following online. Now, all right, so anybody can use the hashtag, so it's possible that some of the posts you are going to be seeing are not going to be, if you end up checking out the pages, they might not have as much followers as you want. So you go for the post with the best engagements, because they have better chances of giving you the results you want. And then, of course, you once you search the hashtags, you go for those with more of pictures like this, depending on what you are looking for, more pictures that fit more in your that fits in your niche. All right, so since I'm going for the fitness niche, influencers are usually known to post physique, their physique and all of that. So I'm going to go for the people that are more into posting body physics and all of that. It will help me find them a lot faster. Of course, I can just check out a lot of these pages, and it should get me what I'm looking for, right? As you can see, more of pictures like this will be what I'll be more interested in. It will be my preference, because I'm trying to look for a personal influencer that is that I'll be willing to work with. All right, a personal influencer that I'll be willing to work with, and that has good engagement and likes. All right, so as you can see, we will have to scroll down a little to go actually look out for some of these influencers, but use the hashtags that are most suited to your niche, and then you find a couple of influencers that you can work with. All right, now the last method I'm going to talk about, which is kind of one of my favorites, is the explore page method. So you simply go to your explore page. Usually I recommend you create a business account for your Instagram business account for your business. The reason for this is because, first of all, it makes influencers take you more seriously. That's number one. Two, it gives your brand a more branded approach. Once you reach out to influencers, okay, they know it's more like a company and all of that, so that they tend to take you more seriously. All right. and then it gives your business an exposure on Instagram. Of course, it's going to take some time to actually build this exposure, but you can actually do it if you want, but you can just use it for the purpose of reaching out to influencers and all of that. Get a couple of followers, and it might help you influencers take you more seriously and all. All right. So as you can see, when I go to my explore page, as I've mentioned before, I usually consume a lot of mostly consume a lot of fitness content on Instagram. So you are going to see more fitness content on my explore page, and then random posts might keep popping up. All right. So as you can see, a lot of fitness posts are popping up here. Now the reason why I like this this method is that the explore page um, mostly shows a lot of posts that the algorithm is pushing. Now, let me explain this. This might not be an accurate representation of how the Instagram algorithm works, but once the way from my personal understanding, I know that Instagram is algorithm works in such a way that the content of it push your content based on how much people interact with it. All right. So if you have a post like this and you post it, and then people are interacting with it, Instagram will continue to push it as much as people interact with it, depending on how much people interact with it. All right. So in essence, Instagrams tend to push posts that, or should I use the word promote posts that people interact with more. So the more people interact your post, the more Instagram algorithm favors you, and the more you're able to grow on the platform. All right. That's why most influencers tend to post as often as possible to get the algorithm to recognize their post. So once the algorithm start pushing their post, it increases their tendency of exposure to other people. All right. So the reason why this method can be very effective is because you are going to come across a lot of pages that Instagram, the algorithm is already favoring. All right. So if you check this out, it's possible that the algorithm is not favoring the other posts they already have, but you are going to find a handful of posts that accounts of people that the algorithm is already favoring. Now, the rule of thumb of using this explore page method is simply making sure you are interacting with content in your niche. Now, if I create a fitness page, right, a fitness page for my business, a fitness business account, and then what I will simply do to get my explore Instagram to recognize that I'm looking out for fitness content, I go ahead and search a lot of fitness content, like and interact with some of these posts, and then in just a short while, Instagram will make my explore page full of all of these contents. All right. So what I will simply do is come here and find influencers I might be interested in, and then I will look into their page, check out to see if I could find um, something they are interested in. Usually, I'll look out for influencers like this that post a lot of fitness content, physique, and all. Since I'm looking for a fitness influencer and all, I'm going to look out for influencers like this. I'm going to look out for engagement on their posts before going through, and then I will check out their page and see if I can actually work with them. All right. So this is another method you can use to find influencer. The last method you can use is the app method. All right. I call it the app method. Is a method I don't usually recommend. Okay, there are two main methods, but this one is one among the two methods. Now, these two methods are mostly done by outsourcing the work to someone else. All right. Now, the first one is the app method. Now, the reason why I call this the app method, there are a lot of apps and websites and programs that have been built online to help you find influencers that you can work with. Now, a lot of these platforms can be very good, can be very effective, but the reason why I don't usually recommend them now to start, they are both the free versions and the paid versions. Now, what happens is that the free versions tend to show people over and over again the same influencers. That means the same influencers that are showing to you are the same influencers that are going to be showing to your competitors. All right. And then once you go to the paid version, it's going to be less likely because the population of people using this influencer have dropped off because you are using a paid version at the moment. but at the same time, they are going to be showing to you, even though there are more number of influencers you can use, they are going to be showing you the same influencers that are going to be showing to other people, depending of on what you search and then your preference of the influencer. All right. So keep in mind that they are going to be showing you influencers that, and then it's possible that I'm going to be showing you influencers that are mostly already in the mainstream, and then they might leave out the micro influencers that you might be able to capitalize on. Now, I see micro influencers as more of a bomb of what I call potentials, all right? The potential mini bombs of potentials capable of giving you this as much sales as they can, depending on the number of followers and all of that. But I tend to get a lot of results working with micro influencers because of the influence they're able to generate. And then I usually work with micro influencers that are getting into the system, and the algorithm is pushing them. All right, the algorithm is favoring them a lot, and they have a lot of influence. All right, now this does not mean macro influencers don't work, but it's more like depending on how much influence. As I said, it doesn't matter the number of followers. What's more important is the influence and engagement they are able to generate on the platform. All right, so using the paid app method is one way to go about it. You can use some of these platforms. I usually don't recommend them a lot. So you can just search on Google or find any of these platforms, and they will be able to help you out if you want to. All right. Now the last method is using the Fiverr method. You go ahead and find someone who is suitable for this job on Fiverr.com. So it's actually very simple. You go to Fiverr.com. You search an influencer of which you believe you can work with, all right? So once you find this, search a seller of which you believe you can work with, find a seller with good reviews and reputation on the platform, and then what you do is find someone who can actually find the influencers in the niche you are going to work with. You are going to give them some information. And once they find influencers that are suitable to your niche, they are going to compile a list of influencers and they will bring it to you. All right. This is another method to go about it. You pay these sellers to find these informations for you. And once they have the list of influencers of which you've requested for, they will bring it to you, and then you can scrutinize through this list, and then you can pay them the for a job well done, depending on how well they depending on you or the seller will determine how much you're going to pay for this job. All right. Now the downside to this method is it's possible that the person you are going to be hiring might end up using a lot of these apps that I just spoke about, and bring you a tons of lists from some of these apps we just discussed. All right, whether it's free or the paid version, it's possible that they can use some of these crooked methods. So you try to look out for someone who is trusted on the platform. All right, now that's all on this method. It's actually simple. You can use any of the methods that is most suited for you. But in the beginning, to build confidence, and then to for better experience, I recommend in the beginning, since you are not going to be working with a lot of influencers, that you actually do the research yourself. All right, do your due diligence yourself, so you can tell where the problem is coming from if you run into issues. All right, so I recommend in the beginning you try to build experience and confidence as you're working with Instagram influencers. Try to reach out to them, try to find the influencers yourself. It will help you build confidence as you go about it. All right, so I usually recommend this in the beginning. Later on, you can outsource some of these processes. You can train, if you have quite an organization or a group, a team, you can train someone to go about doing all of this for your team. All right, so it's actually all that simple. You should always keep this in mind when you go about finding your influencers. As I said, the methods are simply the suggestion method, the hashtag method, the explore page method, paying people on Fiverr, and then using a lot of influencer for platforms you are going to find online. So that will be all for this video, and then I'll see you in the next video where we'll talk about other details on how you